Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blind Intelligence. I'm your host, Miss Ronnie, where I always seek to give you exquisite cranial repertoire. This week, we have a very special guest. We have Kara, all the way out of Indiana. Say hello to everyone.
How's it going? I'm excited to be here.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, what we're going to do is let you take over and tell everyone a little bit about yourself.
My name's Kara Cole. I'm born and raised in Indianapolis. I am 38 years old. I'm currently in the middle of releasing singles up until I'm going to probably put out one or two more until the release of my EP in September. And it's Americana, folk, rock, country. It's a mix of all kinds of things. I'm a full-time musician and I have a full-time job. I run a women's sober living house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in recovery from drugs and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
And music's kind of been a catalyst for me in my recovery. So I'm just excited to be putting out it's my first set of professionally recorded songs. I'm recording them in Nashville. So
Okay. So tell me this. You say you're a full-time musician
yeah.
and you work full-time. How long have you been a full-time musician?
So I started playing music young. I started writing songs in my bedroom, 12, 13. I didn't know that's what I was doing. I
Mm-hmm.
just would write poems and then sing them. And
Mm-hmm.
I started playing out probably 20, 21. And then really, I was a full-time musician in my 20s when I was still
Mm-hmm.
using an active addiction. And then I got sober, took a break, went back to playing in another band. And that's when I started to have a proper job. Not that
Mm-hmm.
music's not a proper job, but I never really kept a day job. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would say consistently for the last 10 years, I've been in music.
Okay. So what made you decide to drop an EP rather than continue to drop singles?
That was kind of influenced by the people I'm working with. I think just as a package deal, they say that's a better look when you're trying to get into festivals or maybe get picked up at a label. Essentially, I would like to stay independent. Obviously, a label would be cool. But when I'm presenting to like publishing companies and maybe I wanted to present to 30 Tigers in Nashville and I need to have a package. And so I think that looks better to have an EP, a set of songs. I'm going to put out probably 8 songs and a music video, maybe a couple music videos.
Okay. So this is your first EP.
This is my first EP. Last year, April of 2022, I put out a couple songs. Just kind of like it was my first set of singles. Like I didn't really do a lot of PR for them. I didn't really do anything for them. I recorded them. I thought it was fun. I had never done it, and so I wanted to. I have recorded previously with my duo,
Mm-hmm.
and I had never recorded anything solo.
Okay. So how was the experience?
It was it was different. It was stressful because in my duo, I just sing harmony. I mean, I do more than just sing harmony. I help write all the songs and I do sing some lead sometimes, but essentially I'm more of the person that does the harmonies in my
Mm-hmm.
duo. And so while I did have a say in the process in the studio, there was someone else, my partner, we could kind of bounce it back and forth. And doing it alone is a lot more stressful because I have to make all those decisions. And are they the right decisions? Like, then you have the people in the studio and the producers, like, kind of telling you, like, I think you should do this. But sometimes in my gut, I'm like, gosh, I don't think that's the right move. But they know more than me. So should I listen? I don't know. And so
Well,
I think it's
sometimes
just a learning.
it's not always about who knows more than you. Like I was telling one other artist, sometimes we have to be trailblazers
Yeah,
and don't know what will work until we try it.
right. I think that's what I've been doing. Like my next single, I'm about to put it out this month on the 23rd. Is It's called Johnny Cash, and uh, most people know me for a slower tempoed, emotional song.
Hmm.
And my biggest critique that I think I would get overall is that people want to hear me play faster, have more fast options. And so this is hitting it right from the jump. It comes in heavy, it stays heavy the whole time. It's real Southern rock, blues, country, feels swampy to me, and it's heavy. And when I first got the demo back, the mix back, I was like, oh no, I hate this. And because I wasn't used to it. But the
Hmm.
more I listened to it, and like I sent it out to some people, and they're like, oh, we love this. It shows that you can be versatile, and it brings a completely different style and vibe to the EP. And I think it was a good move. So
Okay. So, what instruments do you play?
I play guitar. When I play live, I play guitar. Um, I can play the piano well enough to write on it, but I could
Hmm.
never play it out. I could
Mm.
piece it together. So I do. I just play guitar, I sing, and I write. I do a lot of
Okay.
writing.
Tell me about your writing process.
Oh my gosh.
Hmm.
It's such an interesting thing to be an artist or some sort of creative in any form. For me personally, and I've had talks with other artists, that there is a constant thing going on in my head of like a melody or lyrics, or I might hear in a conversation someone was just talking yesterday. Creatives in general, I have friends who are choreographers and artists, and not just musicians, or and I it's a constant thing going on in your mind. And so like I was just trying to explain this to my mom and my aunt yesterday. They're like, why don't you just not think about this, take a few days off and quit trying to, because I'm in the middle of trying to finish a song. And I'm
Hmm.
like, it doesn't work like that. I can't just like be like, you know what, mind, don't think about it, and come back to it when I feel like it. It kind of just is constantly going on. There's melodies going on. I was having a conversation yesterday with somebody who said something about uh, the bruises from their brokenness, and like in my head all day long, I was like, I wonder how I could use that in a song. Like, and I've thought about it today because it's just constantly going on, and like you feel like I already feel like these songs I'm about to put out aren't good enough. And like, I'm like, okay, well, what's the next batch of songs? I need to do something better now. And like, what's the next batch of songs going to be about? Like these songs coming out here in September, they're all focused around the same relationship that I was in for 5.5 years. Besides the single I put out about my grandma. The next 5 songs, the other 5 songs are about this relationship. And now the songs that are coming out of me right now that I'm writing, they're all about like my life. I've never really written about my addiction, and all of the things I've been through. And I feel like we're in a time right now in this world where everybody's kind of going through some mental health crisis, and anxiety and depression and addiction, they're on the rise. And I'm like, well, I know about this personally, and I've come on the other side of it. And I think it's just, I feel like maybe I'm in a place now where I can finally tap into that and write about it.
Okay. So, tell me this. You were talking about that the first set of singles that came out was about a relationship. So, I'm going to ask this question because I also worked with an artist who wrote different songs about relationships. But some of the songs that he wrote, I was like, how are you going to feel about these songs if you go back and hear them 10 years later? Do you think that you sound bitter? Do you sound hurt? So tell me about it. So how do you think these songs are going to hit you in 10 years? Do you think are you going to be like, I cannot believe I said that, or those were my true and raw feelings, or I have grown a lot since then. What do you think you're going to say
I'll
in 10 years?
probably think I have grown a lot since then, and I don't think any of the songs are going to come across as bitter or resentful or hard pressed by any means. It's more of a soul cry of you really hurt me. I I I, I wish I could have made it work. I wanted you back, and I tried everything. And like Johnny Cash is essentially like, um it starts out, I ain't no Johnny Cash, but I can walk the line from time to time when it comes to you. And the next line is, I ain't no soldier son, but I can pack a punch, baby, when it comes to you. And so it's just about all of these things I can do. I In the chorus goes into, I've seen the sun go down in Georgia. I wore a suit to the Devil's Ball. I've sat front row at a revolution, but nothing compares to you at all. So I've done all these things, and I've been all of these places, and I still can't seem to find a replacement for you. And so I don't feel any type of way about it. I don't think in 10 years I'll feel that way, because I'm pretty an emotional person, and when I feel my feelings, I feel them to like the max. And I think also that every relationship was supposed to teach us something. And even that person, we're not together, but we have a working relationship and we can communicate and it's fine. And I, want them to be well. And I'm pretty, I'm,
Um, my next question was about live performances. What are your feelings on live performances? And when it was taken away from you during COVID, did the feeling intensify once you were able to get back out to perform again?
so when COVID happened, I was full time in my duo. My duo is called Keller and Cole.
Hmm.
We were playing all over. We had just released our second EP. We put out a music video. We had some pretty good steam rolling, and
Hmm.
we were doing some really cool things. We had just done a little run in New York City. And when COVID happened, I kept working, and so did he.
Hmm.
All the venues were shut down. We tried to do some Facebook Lives a few times.
Hmm.
We live about an hour away from each other, so that
Hmm.
was a little bit different. He has a wife and 3 kids. I'm single, no kids, so our schedules looked different. But I was kind of working around the clock, because when you run a nonprofit, uh, some of my other staff were older women who couldn't come to work because they needed to protect themselves. And so I kind of was just running the show and also taking care of my grandma. And so that is when the kind of separation from my duo, not that we're broken up and we will play shows anytime if it makes sense, but once the lives went away, it felt like a piece of your identity was missing. I'm like, oh, I'm just this house manager at this women's house. Like, everybody knows me as a musician, and it messes with your self-worth and your confidence. And then you don't know if you're ever going to get back. And then now I'm playing so many shows, and I'm playing them solo. And I love to play live. It makes me sick, nervous, but it's my favorite thing to do.
Hmm.
Um, I liked, I can convict and convey my emotions so much better in a live show than I can on an album.
Okay.
And so,
Okay. So tell me your most favorite single that you have ever released and tell me why.
oh, that's my single about my grandma, Mary Frances.
Hmm.
It's my favorite because my grandma was everything to me. I mean,
Hmm.
that was my best friend, my heart home. I worship the ground she walked on. All my memories involve her. It's my mom's mom. And when she got Alzheimer's, it starts out slow and then it progresses. And
Hmm.
when I was in active addiction, my grandma's house uh, was always open to me. She didn't care. Like, I could come over there messed up, or She was always calling me. She always answered her phone, like, and then when all she really ever wanted was for me to get well. And so then when I got better and her decline started to happen, I was better. And so I got to kind of take that role. We swapped roles.
Mm-hmm.
And I had moved into her home right before. So I moved into her home because we never wanted to put her in a nursing home. And so we wanted to make sure that I was there at night if she needed to go to the bathroom or whatever, because nobody else could lift her. And so then I stayed living in her home. She died in the living room. So she had been in the hospital. We brought her home. She was home for 3 days. She passed in the living room. So I was in there. They cleaned her up. They took her out. And I stayed living in the home for about 8.5 months. And that was a very trying time for me. And I think a lot of people thought I was going to relapse. I think a lot of people thought I was going to get in a hole and not come out. I would sit in her room and cry, and I couldn't write any music. And then out of nowhere, and I never would have ever thought I would write anything remotely country. Like, that's just not my bag. You know, when you're in addiction, you know, you're running the streets. I'm not listening to country music. And I never really listened to it except old country. Growing up, you know, she loved Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn, and I loved Janis Joplin and Billie Holiday. And, like, you know, to sit in the house that she passed in and have this melody come to my mind, and the words I just kept hearing over and over, "I'll start the coffee," because I used to say that to her. I'm like, "Nobody's giving you any coffee today?" And she'd have a cup right in front of her, and she'd be like, "No, nobody wants me to have any coffee." She was hateful sometimes. And I'm like, "Man, I can't believe it. I'll start the coffee, but talk to me. Tell me a story. What'd you do today?" But she, you know, she was hard pressed about talking because she couldn't remember what she was trying to say. Mm-hmm. So when I wrote that, I just thought, I'm writing this song. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then the place that I've been working with, Charlotte Entertainment Avenue in Nashville, they contacted me. They found me on Instagram, and they were like, "We love that song. We want to put a video to it. This song about your grandma." And that was all I needed to hear. And I was like, sold. Let's do it. And so now it's like she's alive. Not alive, but, you know, I got to bring her to life and, like, have this forever thing with her in it.
Mm-hmm. So I thank you for coming. I would like for you to give everybody your social media handle, where they can find your music at currently, and anything that you want them to know about Carol.
I just want you to check out all my music. I think you'll really like it. I have a bunch of stuff coming up. You can find me at caracole.net. Instagram is _Caracole_. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, where you can stream me. So just take a listen. I know some people are like, I don't know if that's my kind of music, but I would just give it a shot and see if you can't relate to it or connect somehow.
I like the single that I heard.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. Well, you can find her on all streaming platforms. She gave you her handles for social media. Make sure that you follow and like her content. Remember, you can find us on all podcasting platforms. You can find us streaming live on social media. You can find us on www.blonde-intelligence.com. And if you're listening to this on rpentradio.com, you'll be able to hear Kara's single during the Freedom Mix. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Hey, girl, let me tell you about this podcast.
Girl, everybody has a podcast these days.
But this one interviews new and interesting indie artists. It's called Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence.
Really? Where can I find it?
It's on all podcasting platforms, streams live on social media, and on rpentradio.com.
What'd you say it was called again?
It's called Indie Artist Music Hustle with Blonde Intelligence.
Girl, I'm gonna have to check her out.
Give it a check, girl.